Hello and welcome to my podcast. My name is Emilie Iggiotti and I am a portrait and branding photographer. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about a very trendy topic. We all heard about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation, and today I want to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it from the angle of branding. I want to talk about how branding is going to change, is changing already because of this situation. So bear with me. We're going to go through the story behind this situation. I'm not going to really go deep into what happened. I do want to give you a recap of what lawsuits are going on right now. So maybe I'll start with that. So the backstory. We know that Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni worked together on It Ends With Us, a movie about DV. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this on my YouTube. The movie is based on a book by Colleen Hoover. So in 2019, Justin Baldoni bought the rights to this book and decided to direct this movie. I think he just wanted to direct, and Colleen Hoover insisted that he also plays the main character. So Justin Baldoni was directing and playing the character of Ryle, and Blake Lively was the main actress playing the character of Lily Bloom. I'm not going to go through all of the details, but where are we right now? Right now we have a big mess. It started last December when Blake Lively filed a complaint, an HR complaint. So this is our first lawsuit. This is the first step towards a more legal situation. So Blake Lively filed a complaint, and the allegations are about sexual harassment and unsafe work environment. And the parties involved are Blake Lively, the plaintiff, and she's suing Wayfarer Studios, so the studio owned by Justin Baldoni, and Jamie Heath, the defendant. So Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath are the owner of Wayfarer Studios and also really good friends. So you have to, I think, file this complaint before you are allowed to sue, to start a civil lawsuit. This is what I understood from all of the videos I watched. So at the same time that Blake Lively filed this HR complaint, the New York Times released an article titled "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine." So this article basically takes Blake's side and says that because Blake Lively complained about the work environment and filed a complaint to HR about this unsafe work situation on the movie set, after that, Justin Baldoni started a smear campaign to retaliate against her. So this is what basically the article is saying. Something interesting to note is that when this article was released, so I think it was the end of the year, usually the New York Times articles are behind a paywall, and this one was available to anyone. So this is an interesting point. So there is this HR complaint, then the article, and after that, of course, everyone is talking about it. So now there's like talk about who did what, and then Wayfarer Studio and Baldoni decided to sue the New York Times for libel, false light invasion of privacy, and fraud related to the publication of false information. Before he sued Blake Lively back, Justin Baldoni actually sued the New York Times for releasing this very damaging article about what he allegedly did on set. After that, Wayfarer Studio and Justin Baldoni also sued Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and the PR firm who represents Blake Lively. And his allegations are defamation, extortion, and interference with production. So this is very interesting because all the allegations are kind of like different from all of the different lawsuits. Okay, so now that we have established the different lawsuits going on, and I will link in my description certain videos that I've watched from creators like Dave Neal of The Inquiry, who have done a really good job giving you all the details. So if you're kind of lost, don't worry. You can go back, you can follow those links and watch all the videos about the entire situation. But for me, I want to talk about branding and how all of these lawsuits are going to really impact the way we are seeing branding and the way people have to build a brand. So, because there is so much going on. So let's talk about branding. Okay. First, we need to talk about the three characters in this story. We have two very powerful Hollywood celebrities versus a celebrity but less powerful. From, I would say, like the first, glance at the situation, you're like, oh my God, I know who people usually would be like, oh, I know who Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is. Who is Justin Baldoni? Most people, when it's all kind of like came out, people didn't know who he was. And I've been following him for a long time. And it was very interesting to see people kind of like, yeah, I don't know who this guy is. Anyway, so we have three different personalities and three different brands. So this is what's very, very interesting for me. And each personality is a different brand. Let's start with Blake Lively. Blake Lively is of course, gorgeous. She's beautiful, successful businesswoman, but also a mother of 4 children. She's the cliche of the woman who has it all. She has a beautiful career. She's stunning. She has a beautiful husband. She has a beautiful family. Her best friend is Taylor Swift. She has everything she needs. So this is her brand. Her brand is to be kind of like this, like perfect person. She has also lots of brands. She has a hair care brand. She has a alcohol brand. So she is successful. She has everything. But then when you kind of like, scratch the surface a little bit, you realize that, and of course people have been talking about her because everything, those lawsuits are happening, and now people are talking and be like, oh, wait, but we remember that she was actually mean on the set of Gossip Girl. We remember interviews where she was not very nice to the person interviewing her, the journalist. So a lot of things have resurfaced about who she is and how she acted. And of course, people have been, reposting old interviews and sharing those things. And I think it's very normal. We are in an era of information. We have so much information and easy access to information. So I know that people are also blaming and shaming people for being internet sleuth, but I think this is normal. We are in a different era. You can pretty much find anything online, and people love to do their own research because we have been telling them, do your own research, do your thing. You got to find the information yourself. So people have been doing this. And of course, when the situation with It Ends With Us started, people were like, well, I don't understand why people are defending her. And well, she was mean to this person and mean to this person. And I think we have to just be okay with that, be okay with the ideas that people will go and search for you and, find old interviews and old articles and things like that. So this idea that, she is successful and beautiful and everything is actually clashing with the mean girl persona that people have also been talking about. So this is something very, very interesting to notice. And I think with this lawsuit, her brand is really suffering. And I also want to point out that during the promotion of It Ends With Us, people were very unhappy about the way she decided to promote the movie. So, and this is something that it's mentioned in a lawsuit, because people were saying, why are you promoting your alcohol brand for a movie about DV? This is very inappropriate. And why are you not supporting victims of DV? And this appeared to be mentioned in the lawsuit as, well, I just did my job. So this is what Blake Lively is saying. I was just doing my job. I was just following what the studio decided, and the studio wanted me to promote the movie in a very hopeful way, in a very positive way, and not focus so much on the domestic violence aspect of it. So this is something that this is the way she explained why she decided to do this. People also said that promoting her hair care line during the promotion of this movie was very weird. Why are you doing this? And of course, we need to remember that this promotion time where they were all promoting the movies, Justin Baldoni was very much separated from the rest of the crew of the actors, and he actually was not allowed to be at the premiere at the same time as her. And this is something that we discovered later, like recently, that Blake Lively decided that he's not part of this promotion. They really wanted him to be set aside and put in a corner and not interact with them. Her behavior regarding, and of course, because she is suing for SH, sorry, not SA. So, sexual harassment. People are saying, well, she is allowed to do this, because if he actually did what she says he did, of course, who would want to, be friendly and buddy with someone who has done terrible things to you on set? I absolutely understand this. And at the same time, we know that certain things that came up after show that they all have different views of different situations that happened, and they are all kind of like, I don't know if they are all twisting the truth, but they all have their own truth. Okay, I am rambling. So let me go back to my case studies of like who those brands are. And so we talked about Blake Lively. So she's the beautiful, mom entrepreneur, but this is clashing with the mean girl vibes that we saw from previous interviews and also during the promotion of, the movie It Ends With Us. So this is Blake Lively branding image. Now I want to talk about Justin Baldoni's brand image. So Justin Baldoni is someone who presents himself as a feminist, as an ally to women. He is very spiritual. He talks about, spirituality, very self-aware. We can sense someone who is vulnerable, who is very in touch with his own feelings. And also at the same time, he also has a podcast called Men Enough, where he talks to other men about the importance of being vulnerable and really show up for the people in your life. He also had a famous TED Talk about being a man and supporting women in your life and supporting women in general. So his brand is pretty much, I am this feminist, I'm authentic. because of this lawsuit talking about work harassment, now people are questioning, is Brand, is he really like that? Is he performative? Is he lying? Because someone who says they are, supporting women and then acting like that on set, this is not a match. This doesn't work. This is not working with the type of brand that he has established. So this is when the clash kind of happens for him, because suddenly his character is questioned. The woman working on this podcast had to leave. We don't really know why she left. This is, behind the scenes things going on. But people who are pro Blake Lively are really questioning his character and saying, well, this is performative. What he's doing is not real. It's fake. So this is where his brand is suffering, because of course this is the worst accusation for someone who says that he's feminist to be accused of harassment towards a woman. This is the worst thing that could happen. Let's talk about the smear campaign that Justin Baldoni is accused of. So Justin Baldoni is accused of launching a smear campaign towards Blake Lively because this is what people are saying, knew that she was coming for him because of his unsafe work environment and work harassment. So that's why he tried to destroy her. But actually, and this is my personal opinion, is that I think there is more going on. There was more going on the set, and I think this man really freaked out because, and we're going to talk about that, about her trying to get creative control of the movie and coming with different type of threats against him and saying, I have dragons, or if you don't do this, I'll go to Sony, or if you don't do that, I'll go to blah, blah, blah. So basically telling him, if you don't do those things, I will fight for it, and I will make it very hard for you to do your own thing. And we know now that she really tried to take creative control of the movie and inserting herself in the production, in everything, the editing, writing the scenes, the wardrobe. She decided that she didn't need a stylist and she was going to style herself. So all of those things were creating, actually, to me, the unsafe environment. So, and I think Justin Baldoni freaked out because, of course, his worst nightmare is to have a woman saying that he assaulted her. So he's freaking out, and he asked his PR people to watch what's going on and to be like, hey, I don't feel good about this. What's going on? I need help. How can we be prepared for whatever she decides to do? And it must be terrifying to be in this situation where you know that someone has something against you because she has been saying all those things about what she's going to do, then creating this like backlash or this separation between you and the rest of the cast. And this is all in the public eye now. We saw how they were never together, on a press tour or in an interview. He's never with the cast. He's always by himself. So all of this is kind of like, okay, why? What's going on? So back to my point about he's freaking out, and he asked his PR team to really watch what's going on and to be ready, basically, to fight for his reputation. And I think this is what Blake Lively's team is saying, that you started the smear campaign and you started this. And I think he didn't start the smear campaign. I think he reacted to whatever she was talking about, and then use his reaction to kind of like feed her reasoning about how, look, he started it. He's the one who is coming after me because I said that the work environment was unsafe. Okay. So again, I'm rambling, but this is Justin Baldoni's worst nightmare. Because he's such a progressive feminist man who wants to be seen and wants to be an ally for women. This is his worst nightmare. So this is what's going on. And if you know him a little bit, if you follow his career, he did movies that were touching sensitive topics, like specific disease. Like I know he did a movie about this girl who has fibromyalgia, I don't know how to say this word, I apologize. So his brand is also to be this sensitive, sentimental guy who is, cares about people. So that's his brand. And to come for his brand like that, to say that he's actually a creep, that he's creepy on set, that he made her feel uncomfortable, this is extremely, again, damaging for his brand. And this is coming directly from someone who is filming with him, who is under his responsibility. He is the director. So this is Justin Baldoni's brand. And now I want to talk about Ryan Reynolds' brand. And again, this is very important, and you must be wondering, not if you follow the case, but you must wonder, why are we talking about Ryan Reynolds in this lawsuit? He's not part of the movie. Well, Ryan Reynolds has inserted himself in the movie. And again, we see that in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. Blake Lively herself admits that her husband has written a scene, the rooftop scene, which is apparently a big no-no because it was also during the writer's strike. And I think this is you can't do that. But anyway, side note. So Ryan Reynolds is now involved because he inserted himself in the production in the movie. And I watched a video, I don't know if it was a YouTube or a TikTok, but it's the person was saying that I think this is what happened. It might have been Molly McPherson talking about this might be the timeline. So they start filming It Ends With Us. Everything is going well. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are actually, getting along very well. They're buddies, they're texting each other, collaborating on scenes and stuff like this. And then the strike happens and they go on a break, basically. And she said so that after that, something happened during these breaks. And this is when I want to talk about the character of Ryan Reynolds, because he's seen as this nice guy. He's the nice Canadian guy. He's funny and he's cool, he's chill, he makes jokes. But then a lot of people have been saying that he's also a very jealous person. He's Scarlett Johansson, who is his ex-wife, talk about this without naming him, but people got it, that it was about him. He's a jealous guy, he's controlling. So the question is, did something happen during this break where Blake, started filming, goes on break, and then something happened with her husband? And when she comes back to film again, suddenly she has a list of HR complaints, HR requests. It's 17, I think 30 actually. But then Justin Baldoni said that he only got 17 complaints. And she comes back and she's like, this is problematic. I need this needs to change. And we don't really know what happened, but this is the assumption, is that something happened with her husband. So when she comes back, it's different now. Now he's coming on set and he's watching the dailies. Now he's also filming, I think at the same time, his own movie, and he's making jokes about Justin Baldoni, and all of the information about him being controlling and being jealous doesn't match with the brand that he has, with this like nice guy brand. Even if I must say, and this is a side note, I've always been really annoyed by the way he talks about her on his Instagram. And I know that people find it very cute, very endearing. I think every year it does, so Ryan Reynolds does an happy birthday post for his wife. And the joke is that he always posts the worst pictures of her. And it's like, I love you so much, babe, you're beautiful. But it's like all the photos of her are like terrible photos. And I get it. I get this dynamic of, I'm a jokey guy, I joke, and I'm funny. This is how I communicate. But there is something about joking all the time, and you can't ever be serious. You can't ever say things in a serious way. Everything is a joke. So you can't even celebrate your wife and post something very beautiful about her. You always have to make fun of her, or you always have to like turn it into a joke. So I never like that. For me, it's the same as the trope of the husband who is always complaining about his nagging wife. I don't like this type of humor. I find this extremely boring, a little bit sexist, and I never find that funny. It can be funny if it's done correctly, but I found this is a very lazy way of making fun of, making jokes about your wife. So I never really liked that about Ryan Reynolds. And even if people are like, oh my God, this is so funny that they do that to each other, like this is like and people of course are like, this is what a real couple is. It's like you can, make fun of each other. But I think there is a very fine line between making fun of each other and not being able to be vulnerable. And again, I'm tying this back to Justin Baldoni because now suddenly we hear that Ryan Reynolds is jealous. He's jealous, he's a controlling guy. And we have on the other side Justin Baldoni, who is this like very sensitive, sentimental, vulnerable man. Did Ryan Reynolds feel threatened about that? And the fact that his wife is having this like connection with this type of man that is not, it's not his brand. His brand is to be the funny, jokey guy, Deadpool, and he's always making fun of people. And that also reminds me of a video that I've seen recently. Someone brought that up because again, people keep like, bringing things back to the surface. So there was an interview with T.J. Miller, who was an actor. He's a comedian, and he was an actor on Deadpool 1 or 2. And T.J. Miller tell the story about how one day on set, they are, filming, and suddenly Ryan Reynolds is like, let's do another take. And when he does this last take, he's like roasting T.J. Miller, like completely destroying him and saying horrible things about him. So again, this goes against his brand about being a nice guy. Suddenly he's like using humor to be mean to someone and to completely destroy this person with his words. And people have been witnessed this. Actually, T.J. Miller says that the people on set that day came to him later and said, what was that? What's going on? Why did it do that? And he's like, I don't know, but maybe, T.J. Miller did something, or Ryan Reynolds didn't like something about T.J. Miller and wanted to kind of like let him know. But instead of coming to him and say, hey, dude, I don't like this, like you did that, I don't like that, or I feel very blah, blah, blah about this, just decide to kind of like roast him and destroy him, like through his character, which is even more almost like passive aggressive. And that takes me back to another situation that is mentioned in one of Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, is how one day they had like a meeting to talk about those HR issues. And Justin Baldoni says, Ryan Reynolds verbally attacked me, and I've never been talked to by anyone like this. And this is showing, I mean, obviously this is what he says, but this is again showing the disconnection between this nice guy persona that Ryan Reynolds is playing, and it doesn't seem to be true. It's his brand, but it's not him. And we're going to talk about, okay, what is branding then? Okay. So I think I've said all of the things that I wanted to say about who are those people and what brands are they, embodying. One last thing, I think I mentioned it already, but I'm going to say it again. There is, again, Ryan Reynolds using humor to pass, I would say, a message to Baldoni. First, it was in Deadpool, so he created a character called Nice Pool, and the man has a man bun, and he says to Deadpool, I'm a feminist, and then make a joke about his lady just had a baby, but it doesn't look like she just had a baby. Like, it's a lot of kind of like private jokes or like inside jokes about the situation with Justin Baldoni. And then there is also a very weird video of Ryan Reynolds inserting himself in the promotion of It Ends With Us. He literally created a skit where he's pretending to be a journalist interviewing the other male character in the movie, Brandon, I forgot his name. I don't know how to say his name. The other guy in the movie, It Ends With Us. And he plays the jealous husband who is asking his wife's co-worker, wait, do you have names for her? What's going on? Like, I need to know, and being suspicious about like what's going on between them. So this is, again, a joke that is used to pass a message and to say something to someone. It's meant to be like, I don't like that. I don't like what you did. And I'm going to use humor and make fun of you and destroy you with this joke. So this is the branding that Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni has been embodying, whether you believe it's true or not. Okay, now let's talk about how these lawsuits obviously are destroying those brands, because we see with all the things coming up and coming out and all the details and all the stories that Ryan Reynolds is not a nice guy. And then this lawsuit against Justin Baldoni says that he's a creep and he's not a feminist and he's not supporting women. And then we have those old interviews and recent interviews, actually, even during the promotion of It Ends With Us, Blake Lively was also kind of mean certain times, or like responding in a weird way when she was asked about domestic violence or other things about the movie. She seemed annoyed and she didn't show a lot of compassion towards victims and things like that. So the lawsuits have really brought up all of those issues and all of them. The disconnection between the people and the brands. Okay. I've talked about the role of public perception and how those lawsuits have really messed up with those brands. And now what does that mean? What does that mean for us? Because we all know now that branding is different. Personal branding especially. And we are in a different era of what it means to have a brand and to represent a brand. And I think one of the most important things that we need to talk about is how, and this is why I title my video Branding an Authenticity Crisis, because it is an authenticity crisis. Nowadays, people do not want to buy or consume brands that are not authentic. And that's why I think this entire situation is very, very important. And we've seen other cases where someone built a brand. I'm going to take the example of Matilda Djerf. She was an influencer. She's an influencer, and then created her own clothing line. She has products, she has clothes and stuff like that. And this woman was presenting herself as this like cool girl, very laid back person. But we have with this idea of being laid back and being relatable, we have this idea of she's cool, she's chill, she seemed very sweet, like her brand was very polished. And recently there was an article, I think, with different interviews in this article were done with a former employer saying that she's actually a bully and she was mean to them and she didn't want them to use her special bathroom. So again, we have this brand, polished, relatable, authentic brand created by someone, and people realize that the person behind this brand is not who she says she is. She's actually the opposite of the brand. And I think this is where we are starting to see a clash between all of those businesses and brands. And if you actually don't really embody who you say you are, people are not going to go along with it. People don't have time for this anymore. One of the questions that when I was preparing this episode, I was like, do audiences value authenticity anymore? Or are they okay with the idea that personal brands are performance? Are you okay with knowing that, Ryan Reynolds is just a normal guy, he's jealous, he's controlling, and he plays a nice guy, and he plays the same role all the time? Are we okay with that? And are we okay with Blake Lively being this entrepreneur? I don't want to say girl boss because it's not, but this idea of like, she's a girl's and her best friends are famous, but actually behind the scenes, she's actually mean to another woman because this other woman is a journalist. Or if she doesn't like something about the person she's working with, she will say, well, I'm not getting my way, so I'm going to threaten you with something. Like, are we okay with Justin Baldoni not being the perfect enlightened man that he wants to be? That, like, are we okay with that? So all of those questions are very interesting, and I would say the answer is it depends, and everyone will have to choose for themselves what they decide to do with this information. For me, it's really hard to support a brand that I know is not exactly what it says it is. So for me, let's say if I go back to this influencer who is all about sustainability and she's all about being relatable, and then she creates a brand, a clothing line that is only polyester. We don't know where the clothes are made. We don't know if the people who make the clothes are paid correctly. We don't know what the situation, like where are the clothes made and is it safe? I don't want to support a brand like that. The same way, I don't want to support a movie with an actor or an actress who is playing someone who cares, or is playing someone who is vulnerable, but I know in the back, I know behind the scenes that this person is a bully, and I know that this person is mean to people on set, or we know terrible stories about them kind of like treating people like servants. I don't necessarily want to support those people, and it's very hard for actors because their job is to play a character. So where do we draw the line between, okay, this person is like that, they are a terrible person in real life, and they are a good actor. They are good actors and this movie sounds great. What do we do with this? Okay. For me, this is a little bit different for actors because this is also their job. So it's really hard to, I'm not sure what we do with that. I'm not sure if we decide, okay, well, I'm not going to support this actor or this actress because I know that they are abusive or a bully behind the scenes. I don't know. But also I think for me, it's easy. It's like, no, I'm not interested in supporting this person. The same way I'll be saying I'm not interested in supporting this business. Like I'm not interested in supporting Shein because I know they are a terrible company who is not only polluting the planet, but also not paying their workers correctly. But I think, again, this is something that people have to decide for themselves. And then for entrepreneurs, small business owners, creatives who are building their brand, I think it's very important that you have a clear idea and vision of what brand you are building. And is the brand that you are building matching the values that you have, the person that you are? I often say if you are a very quiet, introverted, shy person, and you create this online persona of some being very outgoing, extroverted, or very social, this is going to be very hard for you if you have to go into the world and talk to people to really embody this brand that you have created. And I think it's okay, actually, to be quiet and shy and reserved and introverted and say, this is who I am. I don't feel comfortable faking it or pretending that I'm this so I can sell something. I think we need to really go back to authenticity and see it as a beautiful thing. And who you are and what you are passionate about is good. You don't have to pretend to be someone else to have a brand. But now that I said that, I'm like, okay, well, but if you are a jerk and you need to pretend that you are nice to be in a movie or to sell something, yeah, I get it. Nobody's going to buy from you if you are mean, if you are a jerk. So I guess I get it. I get that you have to pretend to be nice and fun to sell whatever you're selling. But then it brings us to the real question is like, are we going to keep supporting people who are mean and manipulative and terrible, and companies who are like that, or companies who are lying and stealing and taking advantage of people? Are we just going to say, well, this is the brand, this is what it is? No, I think we're really starting to see the ugliness of it and being like, I really want to support brands that I feel connected to, and I feel like we are sharing the same values. So, and again, it shows the importance of transparency and consistency between who you are and what your brand represents. And I think this is something that we are really moving towards, because who wants to buy a brand that is terrible for the environment, for other people, for the collective? Nobody. And the same thing happened with a movie star or a movie. If you know that the movie set was unsafe, or the people have been doing terrible things to the other people on the set, you don't want to support this movie. You don't want to watch it. This is, I guess, my final words about branding. Yeah. And another question that I had is, can you create a brand that is polished but still real? And I think you can. I think you can. And I think you need to set the standards for yourself. You need to say, okay, this is what I want to put out there, and this is what I'm willing to do for it. And the rest I'm not willing to do this, and that's okay. And I think people would rather support someone who has very strong standards and strong boundaries than supporting someone who is kind of like, well, one day you're mean, one day you're this, one day you're that. We don't really know, and you're losing people when you start being inconsistent and you're playing this character, but then we learn that you're actually the opposite. People feel very uncomfortable with this idea. So I would say my lesson, my advice for you is to really see the dangers of faking it and how it could become a problem later. So we might as well start with being authentic and being real and being who we are and being okay with that. So I think this is my biggest advice, I would say. Okay, let's see what else I wanted to talk to you about. I think I've said it all. I think it's a lot. I know I'm talking about a lot of things. I hope it makes sense and I hope you got something from it. And yes, I guess my last thought would be, how can you ensure your personal brand is aligned with your true self? How can you make sure that what you put out there is aligned with who you are and what you want to do in this world? And I think this is the question I kind of like want to leave you with so you can decide for yourself. And I think this is also the most important point is like, you get to choose what you want to do. And it's very simple. So, okay, I hope you enjoy this episode. I think that is all for today. This podcast is already almost 1 hour, and thank you so much for your time. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode and if you want me to talk more about branding, about photography, about business. I would love to do that. Leave a comment if you enjoy this episode and I will see you on the next one. Okay, bye. À bientôt. Bye.